You wake up one morning and realize you are richer than you were yesterday, not a few $100s richer. Your entire life has moved into a completely different financial class. But the first thing that changes is not your house, not your car, not your clothes. It is the way people look at you, the way a waiter speaks to you, the way relatives call you, the way strangers shake your hand, and even the way you look at yourself in the mirror. Money does not only change the number in your bank account, it changes the lens through which you see the world. And at the same time, it changes the lens through which the world sees you. Today, imagine living 4 different lives, 4 versions of yourself. The first version has almost nothing. The second becomes financially stable. The third becomes a millionaire. And the final version owns more than $100 million. You will eat different meals, sleep in different rooms, meet different people. But the most interesting part is this. You will discover that money solves a lot of problems. And then, eventually, money starts creating problems that the broke version of you could never have imagined. So let's begin. You open your eyes. The first thing you do is not check your messages. You open your banking app. The balance appears. 43美元. You stay in bed for a few more seconds. Not because you are tired. You are calculating. Rent is due in a few days. Electricity, phone bill, transportation, food, and the molar on the left side of your mouth has been hurting for 2 weeks. You know you should see a dentist, but you also know that even the initial consultation could cost as much as several days of food. So you tell yourself, maybe it'll go away. It doesn't, but you keep delaying it. You walk into the kitchen. There is almost nothing left. A box of cereal, a little milk. You pour it into a bowl. You do not sit at the table. You stand beside the sink and eat. Why? Maybe because eating while standing makes everything feel temporary, as if this is not really your life. Just a rough phase. Just a bad day. Just a difficult month. Because if you sit down properly and eat at the table, you might have to admit, no, you are actually broke. You put on the same shirt you have already worn 3 times this week. Then you leave the house. Outside, everything has a price. A $5 coffee is not just $5. It is almost a meal. A taxi is not convenience. It is money you are not allowed to spend. Meeting your friends is not just about time. It means food, transportation, unexpected expenses. So you start saying no. I'm really busy lately. Maybe next time. I'm a little tired. Nobody knows the real reason. You cannot afford to go. That is what financial scarcity does to people. It does not only take away your ability to buy things, it occupies mental bandwidth. You are constantly calculating. If I buy this, what do I have to give up? If I miss work today, how short will I be at the end of the month? What happens if my phone breaks? What if my mother calls and needs money? There is no room left in your head for questions like, what is my purpose? Who do I want to become in 10 years? You just want this month to end without another disaster. Then the weekend comes. There is a family gathering. You go back home. A relative asks, so, how's work going? You smile. Fine. Someone else jumps in. You're young. You need to work harder. You've been doing this for years and still haven't gotten anywhere. People laugh. Maybe they are not trying to humiliate you, but you remember that sentence for a very long time. Because when you do not have money, something strange happens. Your opinions seem to weigh less. A successful person says something ordinary, and people call it wisdom. You say the same thing, and people respond. Do it successfully first, then talk. You sit at the table and realize they still treat you like a child. Nobody asks your opinion about investments. Nobody asks you about business. Nobody asks what you think about an important decision. You are almost invisible. That night, you go back to your room. You scroll through social media. One friend just bought a car. Another is traveling. Someone else posted photos of a new apartment. You look around your room, and a dangerous thought appears. Why can everyone else do it except me? You may begin blaming things. Your circumstances, your family, the economy. But eventually, you run into a truth that is difficult to hear. Working hard does not automatically make you rich. You can work 12 hours a day and still remain poor. Because if those 12 hours only exchange your time for low income, with no new skills, no ownership, no assets, and no scalability, you are simply running very fast in a circle. There is one principle I have always liked. Work smart. Don't just work hard. Hard work is fuel. Strategy decides where the vehicle is going. And then, for the first time, something begins to change. Not dramatically, just a little. You learn a new skill. You take on extra work. You earn more. And 1 month, after paying every bill, there is still money left. Not much, but something remains. For the first time, you feel it. Maybe you can get out. A few years pass. You no longer have $43 in your account. Your income has increased. Maybe you make $40,000 a year. 7万美元. Maybe even $100,000. Life looks completely different now. You open the refrigerator. There is food. Your car breaks down. You fix it. Your tooth hurts. You book the dentist. You walk into a store and no longer add every item in your head. It feels incredible. For the first time in a long time, you can breathe. But then a new trap appears. It does not look like poverty. It looks better, feels more comfortable, and can be even more dangerous. You buy a nicer car. At first, it makes you extremely happy. You sit inside, smell the new interior, and think, I made it. 3 months later, it is just your car. You buy a nice watch. But now the watch makes your old clothes look cheap. So you upgrade your clothes, then your shoes. Then you look at your apartment. Why am I making this much money and still living here? So you move. Rent goes up. You start eating at better restaurants, staying in nicer hotels, paying for services that the broke version of you once considered luxury. And somehow, your income triples. But at the end of the month, you still do not feel like you have much money. This is lifestyle creep. Lifestyle inflation. Yesterday, you survived on $2,000 a month. Today, you earn $6,000. But you built a life that costs $5,800 to maintain. You are richer, but not necessarily freer. One day, a coworker asks, "How have you been?" You answer, "Good, busy." Good, busy. Two very convenient words. They sound successful. They sound ambitious. They sound like progress. But sometimes, late at night, you sit alone and ask yourself, am I busy building the life I actually want? Or am I busy just paying for a lifestyle I accidentally upgraded? This is also when the Diderot effect starts showing up. You buy one premium item. That item does not stay alone. It pulls other purchases behind it. A beautiful new sofa makes your old coffee table look bad. The new table makes the old lighting look cheap. Once the living room is upgraded, the bedroom suddenly looks outdated. You change one thing, then your entire consumption ecosystem starts demanding an upgrade. You are no longer buying only because you need something. You are buying because everything has to match the new version of you. Then your family starts noticing that you have money. The calls become more frequent. Could you help your aunt with something? Can I borrow a little? You're doing well now. This amount is nothing to you. At first, you help, and it feels good. The second time, you help. By the fifth time, it begins to bother you. Then one day, you say no. And someone responds, "It's not even that much money. Why are you being stingy?" You freeze. Because to them, $2,000 may be nothing to you. But they did not see the years it took you to get here. They did not see the risks, the pressure, the work. They only see the result. That is when you learn a new lesson. Making money is one skill. Keeping money is another. And setting boundaries with people is an entirely different skill. Now you finally have what the broke version of you used to dream about. But peace still has not arrived. Because now, you compare yourself to a different group. When you were poor, you compared yourself to the middle class. Now that you are middle class, you compare yourself to the rich. The person driving a $20,000 car looks at the $50,000 car. The person living in a $300,000 house looks at the $1,000,000 house. The person making $100,000 looks at the person making $500,000. The finish line keeps moving, and eventually you realize, if you never define what enough means for yourself, no amount of income will stop you from feeling behind. But you keep going. You invest. You build. You accumulate. And then one day, your net worth crosses $1,000,000. You walk into a restaurant. The waiter hands you the menu. You do not look at the prices. Not because you are pretending to be rich. You genuinely do not need to. Whether the bill is $200 or $400, it does not change your life. You travel without saving for 6 months first. You can buy the best laptop if you want, upgrade your car, fly business class, live somewhere better. This is one of money's greatest superpowers. It removes small problems. But when small problems disappear, you finally begin hearing the big ones clearly. It is Sunday morning. No meetings. No urgent emails. Nobody needs you right now. You sit in the living room. Beautiful house. Great coffee. Everything is quiet. And suddenly, you have no idea what to do. You open your laptop. Out of a bit. Check work. Your partner asks, "Take the day off. Let's do something fun." You are about to answer, but you do not know what to say. What do I do for fun? Such a simple question, yet it takes you far too long to answer. Because for years, you only knew how to work. You thought you were building a business so you could become free. But once freedom becomes available, you realize you do not know how to use it. You have enough money to buy almost anything, but you cannot buy the ability to sit still without feeling guilty. You go to the beach. The view is incredible. Your phone vibrates. You check it. You go to dinner. Your phone vibrates. You check it. You lie in an expensive hotel room. But your mind is still at the office. That is the paradox. You spend years making enough money to escape work. Then work becomes the only place where you feel valuable. Relationships also begin to change. You make an average joke. People laugh harder. You mention an idea. Someone says, "Your vision is on another level." And you begin wondering, was the idea actually good? Or are they saying that because they know you are successful? Someone invites you to dinner. Someone wants you to invest. Someone wants to become your business partner. Someone suddenly becomes extremely friendly. You can no longer easily tell who likes you and who likes what you can provide. Your money, your reputation, your connections. This is when money starts creating something strange. Suspicion. Years ago, you wanted people to notice you. Now too many people notice you. And you want to know why? Family support starts turning into a system. You pay someone's tuition, someone's rent, help a relative start a business, send monthly support. Every individual decision seems reasonable. But then you look at the full picture and realize you basically have a family payroll. The richer you become, the more lawyers enter your life. Contracts, agreements, legal structures. Not necessarily because you became cold, but because conversations worth millions of dollars cannot rely only on, "Trust me, we're family." Then you start observing rich people. One buys a supercar, another buys an expensive watch, another gets a yacht. Everyone seems to be broadcasting a message. "I am successful, I belong at this level, look at me." But here is the funny part. Most people do not care as much as we imagine. You see someone driving a Lamborghini. You look for a few seconds. Nice. Then you go back to thinking about your own life. But the person inside that Lamborghini may have spent an enormous amount of money to create those few seconds of attention. That is the strange game of status. We try to impress people, who are also busy trying to impress us. Everyone thinks all eyes are on them. In reality, almost everyone is mostly thinking about themselves. Eventually, the game becomes exhausting. A new car does not excite you the way it used to. A new watch feels good for a few days. A bigger house creates more things to manage. And then you begin to understand, after a certain point, more money does not improve daily life as dramatically. Going from $0 to $100,000 can transform almost everything. Going from $1 million to $2 million creates more security. But going from $50 million to $60 million, your Tuesday morning may look almost exactly the same. And you keep going. Until money is no longer the biggest question. Now you are extremely wealthy. Not just nice house wealthy. You own enough assets that future generations may never need to work if everything is managed properly. You no longer ask, "Can I afford this car?" Of course you can. The question becomes, why would I buy it? Money is no longer primarily a consumption tool. It becomes an allocation tool. You look at $1 million differently now. Years ago, $1 million was the dream. Today, it may be one investment, one position in a portfolio, one project, one donation. You sit in meeting rooms where people discuss tens of millions of dollars, the way normal people discuss replacing a phone. You have assistants, lawyers, accountants, wealth managers. People are paid specifically to protect your time. Because now, time is more valuable than money. You may be able to earn another $1 million, But you cannot buy another age 40. You cannot go back to your child's 8th birthday. You cannot buy another evening when your parents were still healthy. So you begin thinking about legacy. If you die tomorrow, where does the money go? Who controls it? What kind of people will your children become? What do you want your name to mean? You could build a school, create a foundation, fund research, invest in things that might outlive you. This is when rich life begins to mean something completely different. Years ago, you imagined Ferrari, mansion, private jet. Now a rich life might mean not needing an alarm clock, never sitting through meetings with people you hate, never doing something purely because you need the money, being able to spend 3 months with a sick family member, turning your phone off for a week, walking away from a deal worth millions because you do not respect the people involved. That is what money really buys. The ability to say no. But extreme wealth creates another kind of prison. You walk into a restaurant. Someone recognizes you. The manager appears. Everything suddenly becomes unusually perfect. You no longer know whether the experience is real. Are they treating you well because they are good people? Or because they know who you are? Someone wants to be your friend. You have to think about it. Someone says they love you. You have to think about it. Someone says, I don't care how much money you have. Part of you desperately wants to believe them. Another part cannot stop questioning it. This is something broke people rarely imagine. Having too much money can make sincerity harder to find. You can buy the most expensive hospital room in the world, have access to the best doctors, the best machines, the best treatment. But if the test result says something you do not want to hear, $100 million cannot force your body to reverse time. You can buy a $100,000 bed, but not a guaranteed night of peaceful sleep. You can employ thousands of people, but you cannot put someone on payroll and make them genuinely love you. You can buy attention, services, speed, convenience, privacy, but some things can only be protected by money, not manufactured by it. Health, time, love, trust, peace of mind. Then one day, you travel to a small town. Nobody recognizes you. You walk into an ordinary diner. No reservation, no VIP room, no manager rushing over. A server puts down a glass of water and asks, "What can I get you?" That's it. You sit there, and strangely, it becomes one of the most relaxing meals you have had in years. Because for 1 hour, you are not an investor, not a founder, not a millionaire, not someone being pitched. You are just a hungry human being. And maybe this is when you finally understand. Some people spend half their lives trying to become important, and the other half paying for the privilege of being anonymous again. Now go back to the first version of yourself, the person standing beside the sink eating cereal. If that person could see the version of you worth more than $100 million, they would probably say, that is freedom, and they would not be wrong. Money matters. A lot. Do not fall for empty slogans that say money means nothing. When you cannot afford medical treatment, money matters. When your parents are sick, money matters. When you want to leave a toxic job but have no savings, money matters. When your family faces an emergency, money matters. Money is not everything, but the lack of money can make almost everything harder. The problem begins when you turn money into the only scoreboard that matters. You make $100,000. You want 1 million. You get 1 million. You want 10 million. You get 10 million. Then you look at someone with 100 million. The race never ends unless you define the finish line yourself. So there are two things worth understanding early. First, do not obsess over tiny expenses while ignoring big financial wins. You could spend your whole life debating whether to buy a $3 coffee or make it at home. But if your income has not increased in 10 years, that is the real problem. Saving has a ceiling. You cannot save more than 100% of what you earn. But your ability to create value can grow. Your skills can grow. Your income can grow. Your assets can grow. Your systems can scale. Do not use penny pinching as a way to avoid the bigger question. How do I become more valuable? Second, do not only play defense. A lot of people spend their entire lives asking, how do I avoid losing money? People playing offense ask, how do I create more? How do I own assets? How do I make 1 hour of my time more valuable? How do I build systems instead of doing everything myself? There is another principle I strongly believe in. Do not sit around waiting for everything to become perfect before you begin. Act. Read the data. Adjust. Test. Fail. Fix it. Do it again. Weak people love certainty. But life does not come with a button that says, click here for guaranteed success. You want to change your financial life, but you refuse to take risk. You want to earn more, but refuse to learn new skills. You want freedom, but every day, you repeat the exact same work, in the exact same way, and somehow expect a different result. That is not how reality works. If a tree has barely grown roots, and you dig it up every day to check whether it has produced fruit, you do not get fruit. You kill the tree. If you want a different result, you need enough discipline to stay with something long enough, but you also need enough intelligence to know when the strategy needs to change. Do not worship hard work. A person smashing their head into a wall for 12 hours a day is not more hardworking than the person who finds the door. They just have a worse headache. And finally, if one day you do become extremely wealthy, remember why you wanted the money in the first place. What was it for? More time? Taking care of your family? Freedom? Creativity? Never having to bow to people you do not respect? Then do not get rich and build a life that destroys all of those things. Do not own a house so expensive that you have to spend your life serving it. Do not buy a car to impress people you do not even like. Do not build a business for freedom. Then become the hardest working employee inside your own company. And do not spend your entire life building wealth, only to discover you no longer have time to sit down and eat with the people who were there when you had nothing. A rich life does not need to look the same for everyone. For you, maybe it really is a mansion by the ocean. Good. For someone else, it may be a small debt-free home in the countryside and enough time to play with their children. Also good. One person wants to build a billion-dollar company. Another just wants enough money to travel 3 months every year. There is no single correct version of wealth. The mistake is allowing society to choose your version for you. Because if you never define what enough means, the market will define it for you. Advertising will define it. Your neighbors will define it. Instagram will define it. Your relatives will define it. And eventually, you may spend your entire life chasing a lifestyle you never actually chose. So if you are still at the first level today, that is fine. But do not stay still. Learn. Work. Build. Save. Fail. Adjust. Try again. If you are already middle class, do not let lifestyle inflation consume your future. If you are wealthy, do not let status turn you into an actor inside your own life. And if one day you become extremely wealthy, keep at least a few people around who are willing to tell you, that was stupid, because the more money you have, the more valuable honest people become. In the end, you do not need to become the richest person alive. You need enough money to control your time, enough health to enjoy it, enough awareness to understand what actually matters, and enough wisdom not to sacrifice everyone you love just to add another zero to your bank account. Money will change the way the world treats you. That is almost guaranteed. But one thing still remains in your control. Whether you allow money to change who you are, make money. A lot of it, if that is what you want. Build assets. Win big. Play offense. But never forget why you started. Because the ultimate goal is not to become the person with the largest bank balance in the cemetery. The goal is to look at your own life one day and say, this is the life I deliberately chose. Not the life someone else wanted you to live. Not a life designed to impress strangers. Not a golden cage. Your life. And maybe, that is the most honest definition of being rich.